You know, there's a funny story. I was going to come out to film, and I was looking around for my phone because I can't hear the house phone out here in the garden. And so I wanted to bring my phone out in case somebody needed to get a hold of me. So I'm wandering around the house for like 5-10 minutes looking for my cell phone. Now, I can't call it because on the property here, I don't have the greatest reception. It's just okay. So when I'm talking to somebody, sometimes it kind of like cuts out. And so what I do, before I pull up my driveway, I forward it to the house, which is that like star 74 or something like that. I have it pre-programmed, so I just hit forward. And so I can't call my phone to find it. So I said, okay, well, forget it, screw it. So I gathered up my camera and everything, and I was on my way out, and my phone rang, and it was in my, it was in my back pocket the whole time. Now that doesn't really seem like that funny of a story, I guess. But now the reason why I tell the story is because when I was younger, when I was a kid, my mom used to wander around the house looking for her glasses. But now her favorite place to wear her glasses were on top of her head like this, and she would have them on. That's where she wore them all the time, and she would wander around the house looking for her glasses. And all of us kids, we'd go, Mom, they're on top of your head. And she'd go, oh yeah, that's right. So all of us kids in our infinite wisdom, we decided that what we would do is we would get her one of those strings that, you know, you put it on your glasses and then you can wear them around your neck. They'll dangle. So what she would do is she would wear them around her neck, and then she would wander around the house looking for her glasses again, and until she was like bend over to look somewhere for them, and then they would dangle in front of her, and she'd be like, "Oh, there they are!" And us kids, we would crack up, and I love my mom to death, and I mean, she was one of the funniest ladies you could ever know. She was just a gas, always had a smile on her face, but that just cracked me up. Now, I tell this story because there's an old saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I used to laugh about it, but now I'm beginning to realize that I'm a lot like her. And in a lot of ways, it's hilarious, but in some ways, it's kind of disheartening. Oh, man. But anyways, I don't know why I told that story, but I'm kind of like a bubble or something. If I don't like get it out, it'll just burst. Okay, today I am planting my onion seeds, and I built this bed a couple years ago, and I've got 2 more of these just over there in the north garden. And what they are is they are starter beds for my onions, and then the center one is the actual growing bed. So what I do is I start my onions on the outside beds, and then I move them into the actual bed. And so it's perfect because I start my onions here, and when I sow them, I sow the seeds really thick and then let them grow, and then I prepare this bed. And believe it or not, I get enough onions out of one of these boxes to fill this whole bed. So I'm going to plant 2 different kinds. Now I've got one here that's called, I've never grown this before. It's called Cipollini or Cipollini. I'll put the name across the front here. But this was recommended to me, and I guess it stores for quite a long time, for like 5, 6, 7 months. And then one of my subscribers sent me these. They're called Kelsey Onions, and I guess they're really large. I'm going to plant those. So one of them is going to go here, and the other variety is going to go down there. I've got 4 other varieties in the north beds over there. So I'm not going to bother, kind of boring you with actually planting the seeds. What I do is I just take them and I sow them really heavily. I just sprinkle them everywhere, the whole bag or envelope that you get. Sow them, and then I put about a 1/4 of an inch or so of compost on top of them, and then I just let them go. Now, I live in zone 7B, and I can do this because the ground never gets really hard, never freezes. And so it's perfect. And if you live in a colder zone, what you could do is grow them in a flat and then cover the flat and then just put them somewhere in the shade. I'll show you. I've got another bunch going on the table over there, and I'll show you how to do that in colder zones. But anyways, I'm going to have enough onions here. Now the reason why I sow them so thick is because I'm going to take half of them and plant them up to halfway mark here. I'm going to fill this bed completely. I'm going to amend it. And then I'm going to take half of those and put them here. And then what I do with the other half is I give them away to friends. And so I don't want to save the onion seeds for the next year because the germination rates are so low because onion seeds don't last very long, 1 to 2 years at tops. So anyways, I plant them all. And I will be doing a video also on how to make your onion plants or your onions go to seed so that you can save the seeds, make them bloom, flower. So anyways, I'm not going to bore you with doing that, planting the seeds, because that's really easy. Walk in the park, you just scatter them real thick, just cover them up with a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch of compost. But when they are ready to be planted here, I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. And when they're ready to be transferred, I'll bring you along and show you what I do to amend these beds and how I get them ready for the onions. So let me take you over to the table over there where I've got another flat going with some Elsa Craig, I guess is the name of it. And I've got those growing over. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be my 7th variety over there. And I did it that way because I wanted to show you how to do it if you live in a cooler zone or colder zone than 7B. Okay, so I was going to shoot this video out where this was sitting under the madrone tree on the picnic table, but the wind just and the rain just started gushing, and I didn't want to get my camera wet, so I brought it in here. So if you live in a colder zone, always I tell people start your onions from seeds. Don't buy sets and starts and whatnot. I always start them from seed, but the consensus is, if you look online, everybody that says how to grow onions from seeds, they always start them inside and then move them out. Years past, that's what I did. I started them indoors, and then about mid-March, I moved them outside. I don't do that anymore. I believe that if you do it this way, you get healthier, stronger plants that way. Now, people are probably going to ask, why did I start them in the beds out there and then move them? The reason why I start them in the starter boxes is because I can take, when they come up, I can take all the strongest and the healthiest ones and then move them into their permanent location. If I just sprinkle the seeds in the bed, then you just get what you get. So that's why I do it that way. So what you want to do is, if you live in a colder zone, you're going to want to plant your seeds. You can see actually some of them are, I planted this about a month ago, and you can see the seeds are starting to come up right here. But you just want to plant your seeds, water it well, and then cover it, and then let it go. Put it under the shade. Don't let it be in direct sunlight, and then just let them go until they start coming up. Once the temperature and the light and everything is right, the daylight is right, I mean, they're going to sprout. They're going to do just fine. Believe it or not, the heat is worse for the onion seedlings than the cold is. So if it's going to get sunshine on these and bright light, you're going to want to pull this off because you don't want to cook the seeds. Now, if it's going to dip down, cold enough to freeze this flat, then you might want to take a blanket, throw a blanket over top of it so they don't freeze, and then take it off in the morning. Now, I always, for outdoor projects, when I'm doing flats, I always build my own domes, because those cheap plastic ones that come with these trays, they'll just blow right off. This will never blow off. A hurricane could come along and it'll never go anywhere. So this is what you do. And then once they start to come up in large numbers, then you take the lid off. So this is how you're going to want to grow your onion seeds. The number one reason you want to do it this way, this completely eliminates the process of having to acclimate them and harden them off outdoors. If they come from inside and you move them out, it's kind of a shock to them, and they go through this process of kind of like, almost like dormancy, because they don't want to grow because they're shocked. This way, when they're the right height, you're going to pull them out and put them right into their permanent location, and there's no fuss, no hassle. So I'm going to move these back out under the tree there in the rain. And so that's how I do it. That's how I grow all of my onion seeds now outside. I put them in flats, or I put them in the boxes over there that I showed you. So I will bring you along when it's time to plant them. When the ones in the boxes start growing, I've got 7 varieties now that I'm putting out. And so I will show you how I fill those boxes, what I use, and how I amend them. Alright, that's how I grow my onions from seeds. That's how everybody actually should be growing their onions. So, anyways, that's it guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch y'all later.